Welcome back to Cap. I'm Corbin,
And I'm Cody.
and today we're going to tell you why Marty Supreme should win Best Picture in 15 minutes or less. It's the seventh part in a 10-part series where we break down what is supreme about all 10 nominees at the 98th Academy Awards. Today we're only talking about what we love. No outside drama, no smear cames, no what happened on the Good Times set. We're not getting into it. We're purely talking about this as a piece of art, Marty Supreme, which was nominated for director, actor, screenplay, casting, cinematography, production design, editing, costume design, and of course, best picture. It's weird. It feels like a couple months ago we would have said, Timothée Chalamet was a lock for best actor. I don't know if it's going to happen. It is still a very impressive performance. I think to me, while it is similar to his personality and his persona more so than something like Bob Dylan, just the pure ping pong work, the athleticism, the ability to like learn this skill and put it on stage. It is akin to learning an instrument, learning to play a song, learning to play, baseball for real. This guy's playing ping pong in a very impressive way. And also, the boisterous, nonstop, dream big attitude that he kind of, continued on through the entire marketing of this movie is just an exciting lead character and an exciting lead performance. There's a lot of great stuff about this movie. What do you like about
I
it?
mean, definitely Timmy's performance, I think, is one of the great things about this movie. Like you said, I mean, he does have similarities to the character where it does blend, just his personality and the character, which I think is always something you would look for, in casting. So I think well done there. This script on its own is insane. Obviously, it being a Safdie, script, that's not super surprising. So he's taken through a lot of twists and turns and a lot of emotions. But I do love just kind of the core of his character, like you're saying, of just wanting to dream big. And he does start off just like so confident that he can achieve his goals. I love kind of just like the blind optimism that he has. I do really like the ping pong stuff at the beginning as well. I think that cinematography specifically, and also just like the production and costume design and kind of the ping pong tournament as a whole is really, really successful. Like you said, it's not easy to kind of capture this sport on film. But I think they really do a good job of putting you at the table and kind of give you a little bit of context of what it would feel like, being at a championship, match and stuff like that. Obviously, after that first tournament, it's kind of just a tailspin of him trying to, make it to Japan for kind of the next big championships and stuff, which 100% goes off the rail multiple times. But I think the script for me is probably the standout of maybe the award that this movie has the best chance of winning. I'm not sure. I think, 9 noms is a lot. I think it's got a chance for sure in a lot of the technicals. But I think script wise, it is very interesting. And it concludes very well too, I think, of that ending shot. Timmy kind of breaking down, getting a good look at his and Odessa's kid. Maybe one of the best acting scenes of the year as well. So a lot going on in this, a lot to talk about. But yeah, I think the script and for sure the lead performance are its best arguments here.
It's obviously an incredibly fast talking, he's super energetic. The screenplay is about a guy who's constantly digging himself further and further into this hole, unable to get it out, causing a new problem. Every turn and every like awful thing that happens is insane and incredibly written, whether it's a fucking bathtub falling through the ceiling or a dog like coming and biting someone's arm off. Like fucking shit, insane shit keeps happening. Pin fucking Gillette shows up. Like the cast of characters, whether it's real people that are just kind of like weird on the street guys that they brought in. You've got people like Luke Manley who've never acted in a movie before. And then, of course, classic actors like Gwyneth Paltrow, Fran Drescher, the fucking former president of the SAG-AFTRA.
Oh, gotcha.
And then you get, Kevin O'Leary, a real fucking billionaire piece of shit to play a billionaire piece of shit in the movie. So it is this perfect mix. Tyler the Creator is brought in, like perfect mix of just like good faces, real life people, that creates this really fun amalgamation of a cast. It is a period piece set in the 50s. The production design from Jack Fist, guy who used to work with David Lynch, is incredibly well done. It's built out. The cars, the clothing. Even I think of that like first scene in the shoe store at the beginning when they're like going back and forth, and then they start having sex in the back, but just even like the production design of the shoe store and then the cut to the fun opening credit sequence. It's a really well built out movie.
I think top to bottom, especially from a technical perspective, it's hard to find too many flaws or things that I dislike with it. For sure, too. Just the score and soundtrack, I think, is another standout. I don't think it was nom for that actually, which is a bit surprising, but soundtrack, kind of the ending and bookend songs, both bang, just classic like 80s songs as well. And I think it does a great job of being of its era. Like you said, taking you back to that time period with the cars and especially the costumes too, which it did get a nom for, which I think is it might have a very good shot, honestly, to win that category just because of all the work put into that. But I wanted to talk about the cast too and kind of touch on what you're saying of it does an interesting job of like having really good actors and actresses, but also at the same time just throwing in any randos they want just to keep it as realistic as possible. I think a lot of the niche people that he meets along the way, like they're effective just because they seem like these just very random people who you could run across, at any point, like the hotel manager, just like random people like that in really fun roles, and they do a great job. And Kevin O'Leary, yeah, I mean, he's a complete asshole, but I don't think he'll ever act again, if we're being completely honest. But then, you have the prestige performers too. Gwyneth, I think, clocks in for a good performance. I think obviously Timmy and Odessa have, pretty great chemistry, I would say. Tyler, the creator, I thought was great. I think that scene specifically where they're kind of hustling at the bowling alley is one of my favorites in the movie. And that 100% has a lot to do with Tyler, creator, I think. So I just thought from a casting perspective, it was pretty impressive. The New York guy, which you said his name earlier, he's great too. Another person who I feel like just him and Timmy would just be friends like off camera. Same with Odessa, same with Tyler Perry. Like probably acting for them in these scenes were very easy in a sense, just because they probably can do that in real life with kind of no qualms. So, Safdie, like you're saying, maybe some negative stuff here popping up recently, but I think he knows how to cast. I think he knows how to, work behind the camera. The cinematography as a whole, for sure, too, I think is definitely very impressive. Top to bottom with this movie, especially like the end scene where he's playing Endo, in kind of that climactic battle. I feel like that shot really interesting as well, with some POV shots, some more just classic kind of horizontal shots as well, showing both of them at the table. So yeah, from a technical perspective, I think it's pretty off the wall as well.
It's not quite challengers level of making a sport that's not cool, exciting, but like ping pong, it's not the coolest thing in the world to watch. And I do think this is able to shoot it in a way that makes it exciting, and for the few different scenes, whether it's that opening tournament where they're kind of doing the trick shots, or the bowling alley hustle, or the final showdown in Japan, it is exciting, and it's able to kind of cut and edit the games down to where you get the most important points, and you get to see the storyline of the match without having to sit through every boring back and forth boom 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 boom
Well, I
whatever.
don't think that's boring, but yeah, it does a really good job of just not focusing on the ping pong too. The majority of the story is for sure more of kind of the up and downs
It's the
of
character.
trying to get the money, to kind of, feel his passion in a sense. And he's just as passionate about his getting there, as he is about winning and playing. So he's going to stop at nothing, to achieve these goals. So it's just constantly him hustling, him lying. Him and Odessa are just this great pair. She does some stuff as well to manipulate his character. She's married. He's not, I guess, but he has so many relationships it's hard to keep track of. But obviously, her use of kind of the eye black and her current marriage, and then obviously her getting pregnant from Timmy. It just their relationship I thought was pretty interesting, and just how they keep coming back and finding each other eventually. His relationship with Gweno, I didn't think was as layered, but still interesting, especially including Kevin O'Leary coming in at the end, and you think for a second like he's gonna get the money just from her jewelry and stuff, and then they're having sex in the park or something, and the cops come up and take it. And then he's gonna go get another one, but then her play gets, review bombed, and she's in shambles. So the end result is Kevin O'Leary's got to do like this public slapping, which I think is an interesting scene. So you really just do see like the start of just this pure blissful confidence to the end, like this tore down character who he's willing to get humiliated to still achieve his goals. So I just think that progression was interesting. And yeah, Timmy does a great job of kind of rolling with the punches and going off the rails at times, but like I said, still at the end, still being grounded and super emotional for when he needs to.
And this is what the richest, most awful people in America will do, and and don't won't think twice about that they're bad people. They want to smack you on the ass, and then they'll give you a little something for it. And this is an interesting story about like a Jewish guy in post World War II America, going head to head with like a Japanese foe, and there's all these like greater cultural implications there that are interesting in the story. It's a story about trying to find greatness and achieve greatness, and he struggles, and he encounters a lot of roadblocks, and it is watching it is a tough journey, I would say.
It's similar to, for sure, the other Safdie movies where, it is very stressful, I would say. Like the pace is nonstop. Like you said off the bat, I mean, the script itself too is very fast talking and very quippy to begin with, but it does have some interesting stuff to say thematically too. I think like the one scene that really stands out with that, plays off of what you're talking about, just with the time era, kind of after World War II. The honey story, that scene specifically, I think is one that stands out, especially post watch, as a little bit different, tonality from a lot of the rest of the movie, but still a cool story and just a cool kind of little subplot to put in there to give a little bit more kind of character development of kind of just showing the ultimate sacrifice of, in your head, you might think that you're sacrificing, but when a story like that is shown, it's like, man, like, it's just unbelievable kind of the way that people were forced to survive, during this time period. So definitely, I mean, with Penn Jillette's character too, you see some of that anti-Semitism that's obviously still prevalent during the era and everything. Even though kind of that dog subplot, I think maybe goes a little bit too far off kind of focus. I did think that those elements still, gave it meaning and, still made it interesting.
Yeah, that story and the honey thing, I've talked about. I don't maybe love the way it's used, and especially the way it just like the reaction it ends up getting out of people. However, I do like the way like Kevin O'Leary reacts to it, and the way that like is a commentary on who he is as a person, as a character, and is almost like giddy joy that he experiences. And it's like this awful tragic story of perseverance, like you said. But for him, it's just entertainment value.
And that's all he wants 24/7. I mean, honestly, I don't think Kevin O'Leary is doing any acting in this movie per se. So good performance, I guess, from him. But
I'm a vampire.
That's a great line, actually. That might be the best line in the movie. I think originally too they were going to actually have him be a vampire, which I think would have been fun, but maybe takes the realism.
Sinners ate their lunch. They couldn't have another vampire movie.
After Sinners, you got to abandon that plot point. But I think the script as a whole, like I said, I mean, there's some stuff you could probably take out, but just for how fast paced it is, it's not overly long, I don't think. And like I said, I think the music selection to kind of kick it off and get the movie moving, and then as well kind of the bookend of everybody wants to save the world. I think it's to be forever young. That might be the best opening of the year. With just the visuals along with sex there, which is very interesting. But yeah, great opening and great ending thing, which is what you want in a movie like this. You want it to be memorable, have a lot of interesting moments that the audience won't forget. Maybe it does go for the shock factor a little bit in some scenes, but I think, top to bottom, it's a solid flick and definitely one that is deserved of 9 noms. And, if there weren't a lot of these external factors, it actually might have a pretty good shot of winning. So I think in a different year, this could be a Best Picture winner.
Best unibrow as well. Unibrow, acne scars. The makeup is incredible.
The makeup is awesome. Yeah. The fact that people actually thought Timmy had, these scars after watching this movie, I think is a testament to the people behind the scenes. So I was very impressed by that as well.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.